Hello, this is Judge Neo and welcome to Chronicle. Today we're bringing you a ranked budget deck guide for Ozan. I've used this to rank successfully into Diamond League as shown in one of my previous videos, and although this won't make you the best in the game, it is quite effective, and for a low cost and its simplicity, it's really worth picking up if you want to rank up those drive up those ranks and start playing some of the better players in the game and more interesting strategies. There are only a few expensive cards that are core to this deck, versus Barker which is a ruby, then there's Granite Mole, another ruby, and Lady Zay, which is a diamond. Everything else is either replaceable or emerald or less. So I do have a few more expensive cards here just because I have the diamonds in my collection, so I may as well just stick them in, but they're probably going to be changed soon anyway. So we have Kale, for instance. Kale you could replace with either another Granite Maul or a Slime Toes. Morwenna you just replace it for Scorpion. And Gazage Tournament, where is it? Here. You just replace that with KGP, you get the other attack, and you just lose a card. It's no big deal. As it's Cannon deck, there are a number of key cards. First, obviously, is Lady Zay. But then we also have Sticky Sanders, Barker Pirates Hideout, and Saucy Wench Deckhand, which is a fantastic name of card, by the way, and Rowdy Cannoneer. Now, these all either give you or spend cannonballs. Cannonballs are the main source of damage in this deck, mostly through the Lady Zay, but also Barker 7 damage from 1 slot, 1 gold is very powerful as well. It's worth mulliganing very hard to get Lady Zay in your hand. It's an incredibly powerful card. The original deal 3 damage to your rival, and then it's +3. The original deal 3 damage is probably going to be removed in the next update, so it'll just be deal 3 damage per cannonball. But even with that change, it's still going to be very powerful. And it's so good, in fact, it's worth mulliganing almost your entire hand at the start of the game if you don't get it. If you want to see the stats of getting this card, I have a previous video about card draw where I go into that all. So have a look at that, and you should see why it's so important to have mulligan at the beginning of the game. The only reasons why you wouldn't hard mulligan are if you were, say, against a Linza and you wanted your giant rat to remove weapon draw ability, something like that. The other sources of damage apart from the cannonballs are Granite Maul, which deals 4, and Doric, which also deals 4. Doric is there for both damage and sustain. It gives you the 4 armor, and it's a Sapphire is very cheap. 3 gold cost is not particularly hard to get for this deck. As you see, we've got 22 gold straight away, and they're all easy to access through Pyramid Plunder, Black Marketeer, Animal Insane. They're very easy to get the gold. You don't have to be killing any hard monsters or running any combinations. You just go straight away. So this is effectively an 8 damage, an 8-point swing. So because it allows you to deal damage and sustain at the same time, it's very useful in the current aggro meta because it allows you to keep the damage, so you're not losing momentum, but also sustain and get a bit of protection against the aggro, which is very likely coming your way. The other source of damage is Dazing Shot. Now this is a really underplayed card. I haven't really seen anyone else apart from me use this. And I don't know why, because for 1 gold you can deal a phenomenal amount of damage. 1 gold, 1 slot, and you can deal, say, 8 damage if you get it on a Dagannoth Sentinel, a Colonelmancer, or a Skeletal Champion. You can deal 12 damage from a Ketzek or 15 from a Jad. And once you know how your opponent plays, what sort of deck they're playing, what sort of cards will be in that deck, when they might play them, because you can look at what the current stats are, you can look at how they've been playing previously, you can have a pretty good idea of when these big monsters are coming up, and you can play Dazing Shot quite predictably and deal big damage very easily. Many times I've played this, hit a Jad, dealt 15 damage. That's in Platinum, in Gold and Diamond. All the time, you can deal big damage, 1 gold, 1 slot, phenomenal card. Even if it's you don't get a big monster, you get something small, such as a Crussian Warrior, a White Wolf even, that's 3 damage for 1 gold, it's not too bad. Void Rollers, and again, small monster, high damage. Very good card. Granite Maul, as I said, deals a bit of damage. The other purpose is obviously it's got 4-2 weapon. For 5 gold, you could, of course, go for a Dragon Longsword instead. Gives you more damage. It's obviously much easier to obtain. It's not a ruby card, so you can swap it out. It's not too bad. But you don't really need that damage and vulnerability on your weapon because, as you can see, we don't really have any big monsters. 4 weapon attack will let you kill our biggest monster in the deck, which is a phenomenal 5 health monster, from 1 base attack. So you don't really need a 5 attack weapon or a 3 durability weapon because you're not really killing many big monsters or any monsters at all, in fact. So if you've got this card, it's great to put it in because you can get an extra 4 damage, and it can even in the final fight, that 4 damage is basically another hit or half a hit if you play it in the last slot before the final fight. So it's a better card for this deck for sure. But if you don't have it, somehow swap it out for a Dragon Longsword, no problem. The other gold cards here, say, are for gold, like with Gnome Guard and Ali Marseille and Pyramid Plunder, that sort of thing. And for health, we have, where is it, Romley Relapse, 7 health. You know, everyone's got this card, very easy. And also Black Marketeer. So if you've watched other videos about this game, you've probably heard Black Marketeer being talked about. Sorry, it's a really, really good card. It really screws up your rival's game. You can play it in, say, slot 1, slot 2 on your first chapter, and it will either cost your opponent 1 gold, 1 extra gold when they play their card, or it will just stop it from activating altogether. Now, when you're going first, this is a really big advantage because lots of people like to start their game off with something like Ali Marseille, get a big lot of gold. But if you use Black Marketeer, suddenly that 0 gold cost support goes to 1 gold, and they can't get Ali Marseille, which means that instead of just losing 1 gold, they've lost 3. And that screws up their entire game. But also against things like AP Stacking Venescula. AP Stacking Venescula, for instance, has minimal gold generation, but it doesn't really play support cards apart from Worthy Opponent. Worthy Opponent is a 0 cost card, so you increase it to 1 cost, suddenly that Worthy Opponent is not activating, they're not gaining that base attack, they're then taking an extra damage from the next monster that they were planning on using. It's normally a big monster as well. So you play against an AP Venescula, Black Marketeer can cost them 1 base attack and deal about 6 damage, which is really big. You know, it's a phenomenal card. And because it also gives a 1 gold reward, it's never a dead card. If your opponent is not using any supports in that chapter, you still got 1 gold. Now, 1 gold is enough for a Barkatoad to deal 7, or Dazing Shot to deal however much. So that's the deck, really. The other 2 cards we have are... the final card that we have, I don't think I've talked about, is Giant Rat. Obviously, Giant Rat is there to remove weapons. It removes 2 weapon durability, which is normally enough. You could replace this with something like Bar Fight, which would then remove 3 weapon durability because of the fight. But because this deck doesn't have much to sustain, you see, it's probably not. It's not what I would recommend because you are now then taking another hit, and that can really swing the balance. So in my opinion, Giant Rat is better, but if you have Bar Fight and you don't have Giant Rat, stick that in there, it'll work fine. You just have to play a bit more aggressively. That's all we've got really got to talk about in this deck. So like I said, Kazal's Tournament, just change for KGP, you'll be fine. We only have 1 Sticky Sanders. You don't need 2 because we're not getting a huge amount of cannonballs in. So 2 Sticky Sanders would just clog up your hand. We don't have any card draw either. That's one thing. If you're playing a bit more conservatively, you might want to swap out something for some card draw. But that's all we've got here. We're going to go now into some ranked games, and you can see how this plays. Okay, let's see who I'm facing. Obelisk. Now, Venescula in Diamond League. Pretty tough opponent. Let's see how we go. I did mention in the when we were going through the cards that Black Marketeer is very effective against Venescula, so we'll keep that. We also have Lady Zay, so we don't need to have Monaghan. Now we then really need to consider what do we want in our hand. Probably keep Barkatoad is very good. Dormic we'll probably get rid of, and let's get rid of that as well. And that we really want to be getting the cannonballs in now, so we can start building up the cannonballs in our hand for Big Lady Zay here. And we've got more venom. Add another Black Marketeer. This is actually quite nice. It's two real Venescular plays. One is AP stacking, and the second is Mortal. Black Marketeer is phenomenally good against AP stacking Venescular. It's not quite so good against the Mortal ones. However, still not too bad. We're only going to play 3 cards, I think. We play Morwenna in slot 2 because we're going first. When you're going first, quite often people like to play something like a KGP in their first slot, and a Morwenna on a KGP is just a complete waste. So you play it in slot 2, it hits their slot 2, 3 or 4 monster, and it normally deals quite a bit more damage. Black Marketeer in the first slot because that's the best place to put it, always. So, like I said, if we put Morwenna in the first slot, that it would have hit the Kale, and it wouldn't have that much damage. Instead, Worthy Opponent is not activated. That means that they now have only 6 attack. If they don't gain that extra base attack, the Morwenna has made them take an extra hit even to get the Tormented Demon down. So instead of taking 8 damage, they're taking 12 damage, and they've lost their weapon like they expected. So here they're going to take another 1 as well. So straight away, they're on 13, we're on 26. They're 1 base attack down from the position they thought they would be in. So we're in a pretty good place. We only really need now the cannonballs to start this going off. And here we go. Pirate Side Out straight away. Go Black Marketeer. Actually, no, we won't do that. We'll do Pirate Side Out. We'll go straight into Barkatoad. Now, that will move them on to 6. This would deal 9 damage. However, it's likely they're going to heal up. So it's probably not the best time to use Lady Zay. Let's do this. So we're going to be taking 3 damage from Pirate Side Out. That would mean that even if they don't deal any damage to us at all, Romney Relapse will still get its full effect. So I think this is the best thing to do at the moment. We'll have a little bit of gold left, so we won't necessarily have to play more say next chapter. Let's see how this works. Remove all gold from both legends. Oh, that's a pain. That's a real pain. This is a very powerful card, Redbeard Frank. So our entire play here is pretty much useless because we're not getting that. They're not getting any health though from our monster because we don't have a monster. Barcode is a complete waste. But it's a very good job we did not play Zay because we would have been dead. However, they didn't gain as much health as they thought we would, as they should have really, because we didn't play any monsters. And we're still way above them on health. Actually, if you look at that, they've lost health. They haven't gained base attack. They haven't gained gold. And we're steady. It's not a bad position to be in. If we use Rowdy Cannoneer now, that'll bring them down to 3 and give us 1, so we'll be able to hit that 6. So we'll be able to do 10 damage in 2 slots. It's not great. If we do this, this will still do 8 damage. So unless they're healing, which they should be really, we'll finish them off. And if not, we'll be able to hit them for 6 or however much if we get any more cannibals in for whatever reason. Let's see what happens. So we can see the open roading here. So at least 1 slot is open road. Remove the base attack. Well, that really doesn't matter. And, well, they're dead. So They killed themselves. I have no idea why they did that. They probably just gave up when they realised they didn't gain any health from their afflicted cards last chapter. So that's won that game. Brought me up to 67. Only 2, not too bad. Let's go into another. Maxi Jack. So this is a Platinum player. They are Ariane. So there's a few types of Ariane in the meta at the moment. One is a Cannonball Ariane. The Cannonball Ariane deck is quite similar to the one I'm showing you now, but it's a bit harder to play, but a bit more powerful at the same time. But I just don't like playing Ariane, so that's why I'm not using it. We've got Lady Zay, we've got Black Marketeer. Black Marketeer, again, is good against Ariane because she uses so many support cards. But we only really need one, so I'm going to drop one off them. We have the Rowdy Cannoneer and we have the Chaos, so we can hit it in one, so I think we'll keep the rest. Nomguard, of course, for gold. Let's see. And we've got Relax. So Relax is actually pretty good versus Ariane because she deals a lot of damage early on in the game. We are first again, so that's quite nice. Black Marketeer should hopefully hurt them. And then let's do this. So we're not dealing any damage to ourselves, we're dealing 4, hopefully harming them a little bit, gaining a cannonball, and we'll go in with a weapon into the next chapter. KGP, very standard start. Ah, interesting. So that's not hit any support cards, so they're very monster heavy Ariane. Let's see what this works out as. Haunted Soul, so could be anything at the moment. It is a bit odd that an Ariane hasn't played any support cards in the first chapter. We would have expected that to happen. Rodo the Stout, so maybe that's why they just wanted that card draw. Because they have played a Crussian on that, so they've drew now 3 cards. So they're potentially a big hand Ariane, which means we don't want to be giving them much gold from our Gazage tournament and our Pyramid Plunder, so if possible we shouldn't be playing those. Right, so because we're first, we can safely use that to get rid of the weapon. To get rid of our weapon and to not take any damage, and we won't need to worry about any griefing. That'll bring us on to 3 cannonballs, so we could deal 12 damage. Obviously that's not what we want to do straight away. Dazing Shots will hopefully do something, because we know they're using so many monsters, it's worth playing that now. And then for the rest of our slots, we may as well use Sticky Sanders. That'll spend 1 cannonball, but because Sticky Sanders does 4 damage, it's worth using this almost all the time, because Lady Zane does 3. And then we'll heal up with Relax at the end, because they're bound to deal some damage to us. So again, more card draw on their half. So they are probably going for a high gold, high hand stagger. That's annoying, but doesn't really affect us. And okay, so even though they played 4, they played 4 monsters last chapter, Dazing Shot didn't hit anything this chapter, so that's quite annoying. It would have been better for us to play them in the reverse order. 2 health ahead, and we're healing up. Ah, they're a pirate deck as well, so this is a pirate Ariane deck. Quite powerful this. But because we started at 1 gold, that didn't activate, which means we are now 9 health up. When you're playing another pirate deck, as we are now, you should be careful not to play Rowdy Cannoneer if you can help it, because Rowdy Cannoneer gives a cannonball to your opponent, which they can then use against you. We know that they don't have any cannonballs at the moment, but they have drew lots of cards. Because they've drawn so many cards, there's a decent chance that they do have a Lady Zay. We'll use Barkato straight away, and we'll do Marzane. Then we just have to consider, should we Sticky Sanders? Should we Giant Rat? When will this happen? I think we'll use Giant Rat here, and we'll do a Sticky Sanders at the end. So we won't have any cannonballs left now. It's very annoying, unless they give us any, which they might do. But the 7 damage from there is quite handy, and they've given us 3 gold. Excellent. That keeps our momentum up, because we won't have to play a gold generation card next time, because we're going to have 6 gold now. and they're drawing even more cards. They must really, really want that card draw, but they haven't got any gold to use something like Earth Blast with, so it's quite interesting. Giant Rat here, nothing, but it didn't only cost us 2 health, so no big deal. And Sticky Sunders. And they're using Heffin. That's going to really increase their health. Let's see what they're on. 23, so we're still ahead of them in health and gold. Pirate's Hideout now would be very nice. Nope. But we have Doric, and we have Kazaj, and we have Saucy Wench Deckhand. So it's very hard to pronounce. Doric will deal 4 damage, give us 4. Kazaj Trauma means we'll go on to 2, which means that 4 and the armor from here will be used up by Deckhand. 2 gold will spend 1, so we'll do 8 damage in total. Shouldn't take any health ourselves, we'll gain up 1 base attack, and we should have 3 gold to go into the next chapter with. So it's a decent place to be. We are giving them 3 gold, however, and then taking away 1, so they're going to be up 2 gold, which against Avian is not great. And they're using Deckhand now. Okay, so they might be building up for a large Ladies A hit. We know they've had lots of card draw. Flash Mob, interesting. Probably going for an Earth Blast. $17 health though, not high. Yeah, another Flash Mob. So they're going to Earth Blast us now, which will deal 16 damage. That's substantial. They will only, however, I think that actually will be even Stevens. Yeah, so they're going to be on 11, we're going to be on 11. They're going to have 2 more base attack and 2 more gold, but it's not terrible. Let's see what happens here. Okay. This is far from ideal. Would have liked more cannonball, but we don't have that. Giant Rats can go here, hopefully get a weapon. We are in first though, so might not hit it. Use Barkatoad. Then we'll play Ladies A here in case they give us a cannonball. And probably best to just... should we play Permaplunder or not? No, we don't want to give them any gold. We're not going to use the gold ourselves, so we'll just leave this. Sunders. Is it worth using that at all? Yeah, I think it is. We'll put it in. 2 health for each card in your hand. Okay, so we might have lost this just from their healing. That's a pain. Oh well. And I did. Yep, so we've lost this. Never mind. If we had a slightly different draw, we might have been able to reduce their goal gain, and that would have stopped their Lady Heavens, but that didn't happen. But you can see that opponent had to heal over 30 damage, and we didn't use a big hit Ladies A. So we still dealt a huge amount of damage without a perfect draw, without a perfect play, and they had to play very hard to out-heal our damage. So you can see how effective this deck can be. Let's go now. We'll play one final game. Shzik. Rank 96 in Diamond. Exact opposite in their Palindrome of our rank. Alright, because they're Venescular, like I said, Black Marketeer was great. So we'll keep Black Marketeer and we'll keep Dazing Shot and we will dump the rest. Even Kale, we'll just dump him. It's all worth it to get Ladies A. Which we didn't get. But we did get 2 Black Marketeers. So, if they're playing any worthy opponents, we're going to be really hard. And Dating Shots will only hit their last slot. However, against Venescula, last slot is very often a monster, so it's probably worth going for. And we'll have the 1 gold needed to spend our Cannonball with Barkatoad. So, let's see what happens here. Taking their time thinking. Summons the demon straight off the bat. It's a very aggressive play. Not very well advised, however. They've dealt themselves 20 damage in the first slot. Not a good play. I see. All to get that Davok. Okay, so they've gained that attack. They have 3 gold, they're expecting 5. And we've dealt them another 4. So, interesting start. Haven't seen that play before, bringing yourself down by 20 health in your first slot. They're only now on 13. They do, however, have 5 base attack, which is it's a big place to be. It's from 5 base attack, you can do a huge amount. Let's do this. So we'll deal 7. They're going to heal that back up. Yeah, even with just things such as Count Draenor, they'll heal most of that up. But we need to be applying that pressure. Then I think we're just going to do this. Heal up that 3 damage plus another 4, so we should be on 26. Unless they'll deal us any more damage. Let's see. Yep, healing up a little bit, but Sparkatoad brings him back down. Give them some gold, but that doesn't really matter. And they've played a very simple start. Oh, we've lost a full Tetsu. That's very good. That's 14 health that they can no longer gain. And they have the gold to play it now. So they're going to be wishing that was not discarded. Oh well, tough to them. We're over double their health. They have 6 base attack, but they don't really have any cards to use it with, as it seems. Unless they draw Chronomancer now. That's enough to hit it. Okay. Kale, Deckhand, Source, Sticky Sanders. Then we need to be looking at how many cards we have. We're going to be gaining 2. Should we play Giant Rat? Interesting. But anyway, we're going to gain 2, lose 1, gain 1, because Sticky Sanders goes back in your hand, so that brings us up to 6, so Pirate Side up there is probably not the best play. Let's move this up, and when to do this? Yeah, let's do it here. We know that they do have Tormented Demons, they probably also have Slime Toes, so we could get quite a nice hit out of that. Interesting. So not what I would have expected. They're obviously going to Recklin's Bound. No, they're not. What a strange play. And they're doing it again. What are they doing? I suppose they have evened out the health score. Moving 2 gold gain Alva. They even hurt themselves using that. What are they playing at? They're only on 6 health now. Yes, they have an Alvarg in their hand. they can't use it because they don't have the health. They can't hurt me really because they need to be worried. They can't deal 13 damage in 1 or maybe even 2 slots. They've used up both their strikes. Don't know what they're doing. And well, we talked about how bad they're playing, but I don't really know what our best play is here. So we'll try and get that weapon off. What they could do is start off with a Chronomancer to heal up, or then hit a Jad. If they do that, then we've won. If they played a Jad first, then that's probably their safest bet, but they've played pretty strange at the moment, so see what happens. And then we'll do that, a bit more damage. And then we'll just do this. Slime Toes. And it's gone. So giant rat there was a good idea. Ziliana. And we've won the game. So we didn't draw the Ladies 80, so even though I've talked throughout this video on how important this Ladies A draw is, both the games that we won, Ladies A was not necessary. So you can see how powerful this deck is and how it can play in Diamond, it can rank you up to Diamond at a very low shard cost. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, I hope it's given you some ideas, and I hope you have fun playing with this deck. And if you have any questions, any comments, leave it in the section below, and if not, subscribe, and I'll see you for more Chronicle content coming soon.